All right, everybody, here we are. We are back with a new episode of Tackle and Tacos, only our second video podcast. So bear with us if there's any like glitchiness. There shouldn't be, though. This is episode 9, I believe. So 7 was with the new homie, Kyle Vandiver, absolute cool dude, stud. Episode 8 was food stuff. We talked about tacos. We talked about sofrito. We talked about the truth of the matter that like tackling tacos isn't just because it sort of phonetically sounds cool. We actually care about fishing and we actually care about eating. Quick, what's a taco you've had lately that you love? Go.
I don't know if this counts, but sometimes we will make a brat on the grill. We'll grill some brats and then put it on a tortilla shell. And then I put some guacamole on it and cilantro and
right
salsa.
Now we are offending everyone. We're offending true like taco people. We're offending everyone in Wisconsin.
I said I had hot dog with eggs the other day. So I don't know what's wrong with me.
You did say that. Yeah. What about you?
I think you leveled up from the hot dog a bit.
Thank you. A brat is up
here.
Is
just
and I garnished it nicely.
Actually, so real fast though. We'll get to Mr. Brandon Palaniuk. Cat's out of the bag. What an amazing guest we have tonight. Holy moly! We'll get to him in a sec. But the quick story is, when I lived in Austin, I went to my homie Justin's house for a University of Texas Longhorn football game party. And I was like, do you need me to bring anything? And he was like, no, we're going to have brats. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm from Wisconsin. That's perfect. And I get there and he's cooking the brats up, chopped up onions, real traditional. And I'm like, hey, man, where are the buns? And he's like, oh, no. We put them on tortillas here. And I was so offended and so over it.
Like, what is
and
this?
I just like real begrudgingly, I was like, ugh. And I took a bite of one and I'm like, ugh, this is really good. Like it actually works because there's like less dough to sort of interfere with the bratness.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm not just taking your back because I like you, but
it
works.
Thanks.
Nate, what's a taco you've had lately, homie?
Most recent is probably going to be those marinated skirt tacos, skirt steak tacos I had the other night. I think I posted on our social stuff. So those were bomb. They were dynamite.
They looked so good.
Yeah, they were really good. Honestly, though, I've been trying to eat a little bit better, so I tried a new shell, like a Mission keto shell or something.
Yeah.
And I put it on the.
Did you just rub your belly when you're like trying to eat?
I did, yeah.
We're so good at this.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so I put those Mission keto shells on the flat top, and I don't know what happened. They were terrible. They were like rock solid. They were awful. I microwaved them like a day before just to heat them up a little bit, or the next day, just to heat them up a little bit. They were far better that way. So normally I like the cooked shell, but they were awful cooked, terrible.
Okay,
crazy.
Yeah, everything else was good.
Anybody who follows us on social media, just Tackle and Tacos, you'll see if there's a good like taco post, it's usually Nate. He does a lot of cooking. He uses like the what is it called? The Blackstone.
Blackstone.
I would say stove. I'm like, I know that's not
It's not black top either.
It's not black top, like you said one time. I threw it right on the black top. But he does some really good cooking, and so if it's a good taco, it's probably him. Before we get too far into it, huge thank you to the buddies at Working Class Bowhunter. We're part of their podcast network. We go way back with those dudes, and so when they asked if we wanted to start a fishing podcast, we absolutely, without doubt, unequivocally said yes. And then it was like, okay, how do we do this? Because we knew we liked fishing. We knew we liked tacos. How do we do a podcast? Also, huge shout out and thank you to Grizzly Coolers, grizzlycoolers.com. You can use the code WCB Working Class Bowhunter to get a discount on there. I don't know what it is. It might be 5%. It might be 99%, but it's not that last one. And specifically the Kenai line, like this really dope sort of like teal colored cooler we have here. And we are fully nerding, fanboying. This is a magazine with Mr. Palaniuk on the cover. I mean, we are dorking like unashamedly here. I feel like I'm dressed up as like Chewbacca at like a Star Wars convention, like meeting Chewbacca. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But grizzlycoolers.com, the Kenai stuff is so rad, dude. It works so good. The cups, the cool, everything, the lunchbox thing, which is so perfect for like if you're hunting because it's airtight. If you're fishing, putting in your cooler to keep your like dry stuff dry, just the dopest. So make sure you check them out. Gil Tech Swim Jigs, Hook and Arrow Supply Company, just a bunch of cool stuff. We're also on Waypoint TV now. We're part of that network, which is pretty exciting. There's a lot of really dope podcasts on there. The Ike Live podcast, Luke Duncan, just a bunch of cool stuff. So we're honored to be a part of that. So anything else, Lola, Nate?
I think that was good.
Do we get to it?
Let's get to it.
Yeah. This is exciting. So
yeah, bring the man
all
in.
the way. Yeah, this is funny, right? This is our second video podcast and our second guest from Idaho. So I think we should just keep that as a rule. Yep. Only Idaho guests. And this may be the last of it. Only Idaho guests for the video podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 2-time Bassmaster Angler of the Year. I think there's 11 other anglers ever with more than one. And I mean, that's just the absolute mark of like stud fishing consistency. I think he has 6 or 16 blue trophies. I mean, he won 1,000 times on the BPT. The dude is just a stick, and he's just a good dude. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to bring in Mr. Brandon Palaniuk. Come on, man. Hey. Yeah. And he has cool hats.
Yeah.
On top of it.
Thanks,
brother.
Yeah, he's always rocking that rope hat. That rope hat is the deal.
Dude. Yeah.
I know the problem is that I used to be able to get these blanks and get them made, and then everyone else caught on and decided they wanted to wear it, and they're nearly impossible to get.
That sucks.
I'll be honest. I've looked for a few. I've looked for a few of those rope hats to put the old taco logo on, and I can't get them. So I know you're paying
so hard.
So slick.
Yeah.
Are you a vintagey type styly dude, Brandon? Because like the rope hat has kind of like a classic, not necessarily vintage, but just a really simple classic vibe to it.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Okay.
I think some of it comes just from like my Northwest, like those northern vibes, kind of. You know, you being from Wisconsin, you probably understand that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I like fall time is probably my favorite time to wear clothes. Because it's like I get to like wear some flannel and a sweatshirt and some pants, so that's definitely probably more of my style.
Okay, I love it. All right, so let's jump through it. Lola, hit them with the question categories. Brandon, the way we do this is we kind of break up the questions for you into categories, and we'll kind of let it free flow and hopefully take its own little life as we go. But we let you choose the first category, and then from there, like I said, we'll just see where she goes. So Lola, give them the options, and then you can pick. Even the last one if you want to. If you want to start with that, but however you want to take it, man.
You could do life, taco, normal podcasty kind of questions, Brandon specific questions, or show and tell.
I feel like we should start with taco since we're here on
tackling
tacos. I think we should just kick it off with the
Okay.
tacos.
I knew I was gonna like this dude for sure, dude. Absolutely. All right, go ahead. Hit him with the first one, Bird.
Okay. What is the last taco you had?
Oh, you know, I mean, for me, a taco is pretty much, it's like how you put something together. We have this conversation all the time. We're like, Hispanic food is pretty much all of the same ingredients. It's just how you put it together.
For sure.
I think the last one we had a bunch of fajita meat. This is last week at the Sabine River.
Yeah.
Right before we drove all the way back home. We stay with a super awesome family there. The Sparks family, they got a house, and we just pull our camper up in their yard and plug in and just hang out. It's like an extended family. And one of the last nights we were there, they cooked up like some big fajitas with the bell peppers and the onions and steak and chicken. Mrs. Sparks made a bunch of homemade guac, homemade salsa.
Yeah,
how you talking?
It was legit. And I don't know about you guys, but when I make tacos, I'm a condiment kind of guy. Like I like a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah,
I don't want just like meat and cheese.
Yeah.
That's Nate. You're that way too?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's Nate. That is Nate.
Oh yeah. I want salsa, guac, onions, pico. I want all of it.
Yeah, when you get that perfect bite, you get that perfect bite with all of that in
everything.
It's that's what makes it for sure.
Nate is still fixing his plate when everyone is done eating. He has to make everything look just right, so he has that bite.
Yeah, he has like a little scale, exact amount of lettuce, exact amount of like jalapeno slices. Like he's measuring the slice. Yeah. So that's one of the questions, Brandon, was what is to you the most essential taco topping?
Ooh, just topping wise, I feel like a salsa is like a make or break.
Yeah.
Are you a spicy salsa guy or?
I like a little kick. I don't want it to just overpower and
you don't want your nose running.
Buds. No, I don't want to cry into my taco. I prefer that I just like let the flavors kind of mix. But I feel like if you have really good salsa with good flavor and a little bit of heat, that can like make the whole entire taco. Like it can make up for poorly cooked meat or something like that.
No, you're totally right. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can ruin a taco?
Same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that flip-flopped or.
I mean, yeah, definitely you could say the same thing. Like, obviously, if that's one of the most important, it could also totally train wreck it. But I don't know. I would say if it was like just unseasoned meat, I feel like it's really bad. You know, if it's just cooked with like no good seasoning on the meat, it's just blah.
Yeah, so do you like to cook?
I love cooking, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Have you taught Kyle at all? Because he said he doesn't know how to cook anything.
He said
he said your wife taught him how to do salmon, and he was like 400 degrees, 10 minutes, flip it 400 degrees, and I'm done. It was very
and it's very good.
Yeah, it's very like. I mean, are you teaching him anything?
I mean, there's some things you just focus on with Kyle, and trying to teach him how to cook's not one of them. Not to mention, like, where is he going to cook it? Right, like his resources of cooking are limited.
Okay.
What did he say he cooks? He cooks like, I don't even know. He can pretty much make coffee and salmon and rice. I think.
Perfect. That's all man needs.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got the black rifle down.
I mean, I don't. Outside of that, I really don't know what he can make. Oh,
okay. Well, what
actually,
do you like?
He can make waffles.
Go ahead. Okay.
Hey. Okay.
Well, what are you cooking?
I think I got this from growing up, from my mom. But I love looking in the fridge and the pantry and be like, okay, what do I have available? And what can I make?
Yeah,
I love it.
And then just like creating some concoction of whatever is available.
Yeah.
A lot of times it ends up being some sort of like rice bowl or some pasta dish or something. Yeah. I love grilling.
Yes, sir.
For my daughter's birthday party, I'm going to do a brisket. So I'm going to start that at 7 o'clock tomorrow night for a 1 o'clock p.m. party the next day.
Yeah. Have you done a brisket before?
I've done one a while ago.
Were you nervous? Were you nervous the whole time? Because he gets nervous every time.
Every time I do a big brisket, I get nervous it's going to be wrecked. It never is, but I'm always nervous it's going to be like, oh, this was like 14 hours of my life.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the hardest things, right? Like that's a commitment. That's a serious commitment. 14 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say financially too.
Financially, time. You know, 14 hours. Like, it's not really 14 hours of daylight, and most people aren't eating dinner at 10:30 at night. So that means you had to wake up in the middle of the night when you were sleeping perfectly fine, just to go check on your meat.
Yep. My alarm's going off. Got to check the brisket.
Yeah, go staggering out there, stick the temperature gauge. And you know what's funny, though, is you just said something that made me think of, fishing, which, that's really what this podcast is about. But I'm so down to talk food all night long. Like that idea when you, I'm sure you don't, especially at this level. Maybe, do you fish local derbies at all, Brandon?
If I have time. I love them.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just gonna say, because like for me, like Sunday, I fished a local derby on a lake I'd never been on. And so it was very much that whole vibe of like, do as much map study as you can a little bit, and then really like get on the water and move around until you figure stuff out, cover water.
Yeah.
What's the water temp? The beds were empty, really clear. There's some points. Are they moving out to their haunts yet? Blah, 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 blah. And you're putting the pieces together, which is sort of like in your kitchen. Okay, I got some rice. I have like 1 pound of beef. Like you put the pieces together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like to be successful, to catch fish or to not die, sort of. You put it together until you have like something that actually works out.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I mean, I would say it's like a mathematical equation, but maybe it's more like just building a taco. I don't know.
There it is, dude.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
what it is. Yeah,
that's beautiful. That'll be a shirt.
Yeah.
We got to get that on a shirt.
Brandon Palaniuk wins derbies because he analyzes the water like putting a taco together.
It's beautiful.
That's it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Let's move on to I don't know, life questions. Who are you, Brandon? As a human, as an angler, existentially, surfacey, however you want to take it. Who are you?
Oh man.
We like to get deep here on tackling.
Yeah, I guess. Wow. We went straight from tacos to like really.
Who are you? From salsa to what is your grand purpose in life? Yeah.
Salsa and soul searching.
Exactly.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's a shirt.
That's
too,
a shirt
boy.
right there.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Called it.
Well, we are talking to the tourney tee man himself, so he's
right.
good at coming up with shirts.
Well, I guess I would start by saying I'm a father, I'm a husband, and have an incredible amount of passion for the sport of bass fishing. Really just the outdoors. Like I love the outdoors. I think it makes better people. It's kind of one of those things that if you run into somebody that has an equal level of passion, whether it's bow hunting or fishing or whatever it is, if it's some sort of outdoor activity, there's like an instant bond, or at least an instant amount of respect, amongst those people. And I think, growing up, I'm born and raised in North Idaho. I'm like 5-hour drive from Seattle and a 2-hour drive from Canada. So I'm way over here. And I don't know, grew up in like I think it was an awesome situation, but it wasn't like your typical, I guess, American household. Like I was pretty much raised by my mom, single mom. We moved around a bunch, lived in an Airstream trailer, lived in a cabin that didn't have a bathroom. We had an outhouse, and found tournament bass fishing. Like there's videos and there's photos of me fishing when I was 2-3 years old. Like my mom used to, she would use fishing as the motivation to get me to walk up to the mountain lake so that she wouldn't have to pack me. She said, if I walked, then I could fish. And if I didn't, then I didn't get to fish. And so here I'd be like a little 3-year-old kid walking up the mountains. And then at 8 is when I got introduced to tournament bass fishing. And then that was literally like the guiding light of my entire life. So every time I would come to a crossroads of whatever it was, like a relationship, sports in high school, like when I hit a crossroads, the guide was always like, how do I get to where I want to be in bass fishing? Wow. And tournament fishing? Like how do I get to the Bassmaster Elite Series? How do I get to the Classic? Like if I go down this road, is it going to get me closer to that goal, or is it going to deter me from that goal?
Wow. This is seriously amazing.
Like, wow.
Yeah. And from the time I was 8 years old, like it continually compounded, right? So obviously when I was 8, like I didn't know it was that serious. But every year that went on, I was like, I would wrestle a little bit less in the summer. I would I quit playing football my senior year because I didn't want to start practicing in August because we were still fishing tournaments and practicing. And, like walked out of my calculus class because I had a tournament that was a qualifying tournament, like during finals week. It just over and over, I would make decisions to get to where I am now.
That's
led me here to the tackle and tacos.
Yeah.
And now you've reached the peak.
And now I have hit the pinnacle, and I don't know what to do with the rest of my life.
When you shut your laptop, just know you can't go any farther with this. Any further, you can't go any higher. This is it, dude. Can I ask you a question? Is that the
start of a midlife crisis?
I mean, we're here for you though, so we can all experience together. You don't have to go through it alone, so that makes it a little easier.
I appreciate it.
Based on what 8 years old, how did you get into tournament fishing at 8? And is the bass scene like pretty big in Idaho?
It's gotten a lot bigger. When I was 8, my mom's best friend got married to a guy that fished local and regional tournament stuff. He was kind of messing around with trying to qualify some. Like he was fishing the Bass Nation, or back then what was the Bass Federation. And he wasn't very old. My mom was 19 when she had me, so it's not like her friends were very old.
Sure.
I think he was like in his low 20s, 23, 24, when he first took me out on the lake as an 8-year-old kid. And for whatever reason, like he saw something in me that he continued to take me. And he started taking me to some of the local tournaments. I was pretty much his shadow is what I became.
That's awesome.
I would travel with him and his tournament partner when they'd fish like the bigger tournaments. We'd travel over to Washington like 2-3 hours. He'd sleep in the back of the truck, and I would put my knees on the floorboard of the front of the pickup, and then I would just lay my head and my arms and my chest on the seat, like where you would normally sit, and that's how I would sleep. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And then they would fish the tournament all day. I'd fish from the bank, and it just continually progressed from there. Right? It was like,
seriously, I could cry. This is so sweet.
Yeah. Then I got my own boat, and then just continually, like made those steps. Started fishing the Bass Nation when I turned 16 because that was the minimum age, and that was a route that I had that could get me to the Classic and the Elites that I could afford to be able to do.
Wow. And when you first heard about the Elites or just whatever pro bass fishing, were you just like, that's what I'm doing? Like, I mean, was it a pretty, you started fishing tournaments really young. You were exposed to it young. Thank God for that dude. You still know that feller? Like, are you guys still friends or?
Oh yeah. He'll be at my daughter's birthday party this weekend.
Oh, that's so dope, dude. Get out of here. And then, then you
hear
about pro bass.
His company. Yeah. Like his company built this house that I'm sitting in.
Get out of here.
Incredible.
That's awesome.
Man, my life story sucks compared to this. Jesus. Man,
we all got
mine's more like when I was 6, I ate my first taco, and I knew from then, like I wanted to be morbidly obese, and like whatever I had to do, to get there, I would hang out at the restaurant all day while they were cooking, and I'd eat from shore.
Oh my gosh.
Anywho, so did you know right away, man, that like you really pro bass fishing? That's a thing. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like at 8 years old, that was all I wanted to do. All of my, when they'd ask you in school, like write a report on what you want to be when you grow up and stuff. Like I was always, I want to be a professional bass angler. Your teachers be like, that's not a real thing. What do you actually want to be?
And now you're like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You mentioned something though. When you got your first, your first tournament rig. That's one of the questions I got from some of our listeners and stuff. They sent in some questions and asked some questions. So, what was your first tournament rig? Like, what were you fishing out of when you started this stuff?
Well, I'm gonna start with one that I don't know if you can quite call it a tournament rig because it was pretty janky.
All right, perfect.
I think it was a 1972 aluminum ski boat. I don't even know what brand it was, but like the old pop riveted aluminum ski boats with the wraparound windshield.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and have about this much front deck on it, which wasn't
Did
even
it have
actually
like
front deck.
a fold open windshield where you had like walk through like that one little?
Oh no. You either had to step over the windshield or like do this sketchy little like wrap around the windshield
around the outside like a gunnel sort of. Yeah.
And we strapped I think it was like a Minn Kota Maxim Pro at that time or something. It was like 101 pound thrust on this thing, and we weren't smart enough to reinforce the bottom side, and I kicked it on like 90 degrees to the left one time, and it was on high, and that was the end of that boat. It just ripped the entire front deck right out.
Oh my gosh.
Right through the aluminum. It was just hanging by wires, and that was the end of that boat. I don't even know that it ever saw a tournament, but it was going to be my tournament boat until that happened. And then I had a buddy that I got in. I kind of introduced him to it. His mom used to take us to the lake, like in a 12-foot aluminum and stuff, and we'd fish all summer. Well, his mom went to the casino and won a bunch of money at the casino one night, and came back and bought us a 16.5-foot bass tracker with a 25 horse outboard on it.
That's an upgrade. Yeah.
I think she bought it for like $1,000.
Yeah.
But we thought we were the king of the world because
absolutely
we were.
We had a
trolling motor, a live well, like a 25 horse outboard.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like we had compartments to put our tackle and our rods in.
Yeah.
And that's actually the tournament that I won my first, or the boat that I won my first tournament out of when I was like 14.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
14. Jeez, that's awesome.
That is.
Yeah, that's
really cool. We weren't even old enough to drive. Like his mom would drive us to the ramp. She couldn't back it down, so we'd back the trailer down, and then she would come pick us back up.
That's awesome. You would do all the work, and then she would drive, so you could legally actually do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that for sure. What's the here's one. This isn't as deep, but I always these are interesting questions to me. What's something about you that people probably, because I think it's different in 2023, like with social media, and you have like the awesome BMP videos and your YouTube, and you're being interviewed all the time,
magazines.
and magazine covers and whatever. But I feel like people feel more like they know people more than maybe they actually do. What's something about you that people probably wouldn't expect?
People probably wouldn't expect how much I love to dance.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Whoa, that was not the word I thought you were going to say.
I love all, like pretty much all styles of dancing.
Get out of here.
This is the best.
Like hip hop, like country, like I love swing dancing. Line dancing, I'm like, nah, it's all right. I get bored with it after a while. But like swing dancing,
too repetitive,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Wow, dude. Okay, so are you a wedding reception junkie?
I was just gonna say that. Are you the dude that's like out there?
I'm not afraid. I'll say that. I'm not afraid to dance. I'm not the guy that's like, hey, look at me, I'm gonna dance a bunch, but I'm not afraid to go out there, and like grab some people and say, hey, let's go have a good time.
Okay.
Does your wife like to dance?
She does. Yeah.
Okay.
We used to dance a bunch.
Yeah.
Cute.
That's the line. I'm going to use that in the podcast description. We used to dance a bunch. that's the line right there. That's dope, dude. All right, hit them with where we. Let's go to let's go to Brandon specific questions. Lola, jump off with one, would you?
Okay. Let's see.
Do that first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
No, you do that one.
All right, what's the deal with the shoes on the videos, man?
Shoes. I don't know. Like give me some context.
Okay, so it looks like you're always wearing like kind of like I don't know how to describe it, sort of daddish shoes. And then like on one of the shots, Kyle, you like tricked Kyle into getting a shot of your shoes or something, and he pulled it away and he was like, dang it. And he like tried to pull it away real quick. Like, is that like some like behind the scenes joke that like I'm only catching on, or like what is that?
Well, there is a little bit of a joke there. So he used to always get like a shot of me putting my shoes on in the morning or whatever, and they'd just be some random shoes. They'd be like some Nikes or like crispy boots or something.
Yeah.
And then I got some Sim shoes. Like they came out with a pair that fit on my feet, and because I've kind of got a wider foot. And and so he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get that shoe shot." So then I would always, he'd be like ready to shoot it. And like, I'm not putting my shoes on yet. And then I'd just like slip them on when he turned away to go pour his coffee or something. And so that's kind of the joke of like, I'd start putting my socks on and he'd be shooting. And then I'd just get up and walk off with my socks on and leave my shoes sitting there or something. And
there it is.
Yeah, I like there's a lot of
that
idiotic inside jokes, like
the cruel games you play on the Vandy Hammer.
No, he deserves all of it though.
Do you think, I asked Kyle this last week, do you think that y'all's dynamic just as like friends, do you think it plays a role in the quality of the videos?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Like there's not another person that I believe is out there that could create the same dynamic that we have. And it's not just me and Kyle, it's Tiff and everything. Like,
yes,
he's like my best friend, my brother, a videographer, like all of it, you know. I mean, he's been there for so many major life-changing moments, like truly life-changing moments, good and bad, and he's super easy to be around. Like he's low maintenance, which is important.
We totally felt that.
But he's just easy to be around. And the crazy part is we went to high school together. He graduated with my sister. We didn't hang out a lot then, and I'm almost glad that we didn't, because I don't know that we both weren't the same people then that we are now.
Sure. Yeah.
But who we are now is like, you know, we just see life through the same lens in a lot of ways. And so I think that makes it, I mean, what it is, honestly. Like what people see on YouTube is exactly how we are when the camera's on or off. I think because he is who he is, it allows Tiff, myself, even little baby Cora, like to be ourselves, right? We don't have to put,
you're comfortable.
You have to put, you don't have to put a front on. Like,
that's exactly what I was going to say. It's so genuine.
Yeah. And so then it doesn't make it feel like work. You know, it makes it fun. We're not trying to create anything. We're just documenting the life that we're living.
That's cool. That's a cool way to put it. So do you give Kyle sort of like full autonomy in respects to like the edits? Like, has he ever put out an edit and then you're like, dude, why did you put so much time in there of you eating brownies?
No, I give him like full creative freedom. You know, because the way I look at it is, at some point we may continually like build this into something bigger, and he's essentially would become like the creative director of, you know, if we add more guys, more editors, more shooters, for other projects and different things, he's going to be the guy that is going to head up and have that creative freedom. And, you know, we bounce ideas on and off of each other. I don't oversee the edits. A lot of times I don't see the actual video until the premiere happens. Like when everyone else sees the video, that's a lot of times the first time I see it.
Yeah.
That's came back to bite us a couple times. I'm like, hey, Kyle, there's no music audio in the first 10 minutes. Like, forgot to turn that layer back on before you exported. Just like little things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's not make or break, right, for me. And so it's like, okay, how do we not do that again the next time? Like, how do we learn from it? And let's do this a little bit better. And then, I mean, really, I'm like, give him creative freedom. I do not want to put him in a box. Like, I love that he didn't come from a fishing background because he sees it through a different lens.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that his videos are freaking dope.
Seriously.
He's just naturally incredibly good at what he does.
Really good.
I think what separates him apart from like nearly everybody else that films most content is how good he is at telling a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally agree, dude. Totally. All right, Lola, give him the next.
Everyone can grab a fancy camera and shoot.
Right.
We actually said that. We said, you could train a monkey to hold a camera, but it's really telling the story and knowing the story you're trying to tell. So you're not shooting so much footage that you're not going to need, or trying to get all cutesy with an angle or a whatever that is completely superfluous. And then, it's like he was saying, like, well, sometimes if he moves out deep, then I'll try to fly the drone so you can see that there was some movement versus the shallow stuff. So it's all in that telling a story thing, so it doesn't feel just disconnected. Like, here's a shot, here's a shot, here's a shot. Like it's a lot of footage to stitch together to make it congruent and tell a story. And he just kills it. He absolutely kills it.
Here's a bird shot. Here's another bird shot.
Here's a slow-mo getting weeds off of my jig shot. Yeah.
Instead of a hook set, you get another bird shot.
Or a topwater, right? A topwater, a blow up.
Hey, he's fine with 6 years. It only took him 6 years.
Hey,
55 videos later, he finally got a topwater shot.
There it is.
Proud
Gosh.
It was good. It was a good one too.
Bro, it was like a proud dad moment. And he did. It was like, hey, all that frustration you had built up from 6 years, you just released it all on one topwater shot.
Let it go.
Right there. And he got so lucky because that fish blew up 15 feet in front of the camera boat trolling motor. And they're just sitting there. Like, it just randomly blew up. Single fish. I cast over there and it blows up on it. And he's like a 200 to 600 zoomed in.
Just on top of it.
And it's dead flat calm. And somehow he didn't flinch.
So, yeah. He got the first couple frames and the camera just goes crazy. Yeah.
I was going to ask about Tiff or Tiffany, your wife. When you guys go, like when you go on the road, is that what you say? Is that the right wording?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that like a normal thing for your wife to go with you and your baby to come with you? Like they're with you the whole time? Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know if you'd say it's normal.
Okay. I mean, it's awesome.
Depends on your definition of normal. To us, it's normal because that's what we've chose to do.
I think
she's
that's
traveled
great.
with me. Yeah, it's amazing. It's really this is the only way we can make it work. She's traveled with me full time since 2014.
Okay.
And I think last year was the first 2 tournaments she's missed since 2014. But she was 34 weeks pregnant or something. So
I was gonna say, was she really pregnant?
Yeah, she was really pregnant. So we left her at home. And it was me and Kyle in the camper by ourselves for 2 tournaments.
Were you lonely?
No, not lonely. Me and Kyle explain it as when Tiff's there, we're thriving, and when it's just us two, we're surviving.
Surviving, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So
we're not gonna die. We're not gonna die. We will survive. But when she's there, we're thriving.
That's amazing.
And just obviously there's some extra shenanigans, like we get into wrestling matches in the camper and stuff that probably wouldn't happen normally if she was there.
Right.
Looks
or
like
she
Kyle's
jumps in
been giving you a run for your
daylights
money.
out of you.
Yeah, no, she puts an end to it, And Kyle does not give me a run for my money. I'll give him credit. He is strong. For his scrawny little ass, he is strong. He's scrappy, but he needs to work on his technique a little bit. He did the podcast before the tournament, so you guys probably don't even know this. We got in a wrestling match day 4 at weigh-in at the Sabine River.
Were there pictures on Instagram? Because I think I saw them.
Yeah, there were videos, and he posted some screenshots. Yeah. It's on video. I stood up, and it looked like we just got in a street brawl. Like there was just a group of people surrounding us.
Rocky 5.
Yeah, and he tried to freaking, not a cheap shot, but like I was wrestling with his name's Cooper. He's a little 8-year-old kid that at the house we stay at, the family we stay with.
Not Cooper Gallant.
No, not Cooper Gallant. This is an 8-year-old Cooper, but he's like he's like a little athletic phenom. But he's never wrestled, so like I was messing around with him, kind of wrestling, and then Kyle's like, "Tap me in, Coop, tap me in," and tries tackling me, and it'll be on video. It'll be in the video.
Perfect.
We'll have to flash some pictures up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, I used to know this fella named Dan Matlock. Shout out Dan Matlock. And he was like a state champion wrestler back in the day in Illinois. And I used to, not really, but I used to like boxing and whatever. And you know, the old adage is like the boxer versus the wrestler. When it goes to the ground, it's over, you know? So like he would always just shoot in on me every time, like really quick. And I had to try and like scoot away or whatever. So one time he shoots in on me. I'm sure this isn't like wrestling legal, but I got him in like a pretty nasty guillotine and like just sunk it in. Like he just, and I'm like so hyped that I'm like, tap out, son, tap out or pass out. I mean, I'm like all in and we're just like friendly wrestling. And so he finally taps out and I let go and he like burst all the like blood vessels in his eyes.
So fun.
Yeah, but like I was so pumped. Like I didn't say I was sorry.
You're like you suck.
Yeah, that's what you get. And then like he just beat the holy hell out of me the next like 5 times straight. That one time though, dude, one time I got lucky and slipped in a little guillotine as he was falling. He like pinned himself on it. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anywho,
so
Nick,
you're saying Kyle has a chance.
Kyle has a chance if he can learn a good guillotine and have no remorse for like popping your blood vessels in your eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Nate, you got another like fan or whatever question we're calling them, social media question, not our fans, but Brandon Palaniuk fans. Yeah,
definitely Palaniuk fans, not fans of ours. They just happen to comment on our posts. So so you mentioned like Tiff's been you guys have been traveling together since 2014. Prior to that were the Tundra Suite days. You got any like wild stories from sleeping in the back of the truck at all?
Man, I had a crazy one with, I've probably got a bunch of stories. I don't know if I can remember them all, or we probably don't have time for all of them. I'll give you one that freaked me out the most. I stopped in this little town in kind of like southeastern Montana, and I was on my way down, I think to Chatuge. I think it was the AOI championship. And I wasn't even sleeping in the back, like in the Tundra Suites. I was just sleeping in the back seat. And because I was just trying to catch a couple hours, and I was by myself, had my dog. So it was me and my dog curled up in the back seat. I was laying on my back and she was sleeping between my legs. And there's like one gas station in this town and there's just a gravel lot in the back of it. And so I just kind of backed in the back corner and I'm facing, so I have my boat backed in kind of to the back of this field. My pickup is facing out toward like the main road, but it's just a 2-lane road. And at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up to like these flashing lights, not flashing blue and red lights, like flashing headlights. And they're just like blaring into the cab of my pickup. And I slowly kind of just like peek my eyes over the seat, you know, because I'm like, I don't know what is happening outside of my vehicle right now. Like, they don't know I'm in here or what. Like, I don't want them to see that I'm in here right now. I don't really feel like getting in a gunfight in the middle of Montana. And so I'm just like kind of trying to analyze the situation and peek my head around. Dog's freaking out, like growling, and I'm trying to keep her calm. And they just keep like flashing their lights on and off. And I could not figure out if it was like, hey, we want to steal your stuff, or hey, we're huge fans and we'd like to say hi, and we see your wrapped boat and truck with your name on it. Like, I still to this day, I don't know which one it was.
Oh my gosh, there's no closure.
Because I just laid there and I'm like,
you never like got out?
No, I kept watching, like, you know how the headrest, like you got your headrest above the seat a little bit. Yeah. So that little space, just imagine me, no hat on, my eyeballs just peeking through the little like headrest gap behind there. And I'm just looking. I'm sure they could just see my eyeballs glowing through between the seats, but
like looking left to right, like a cartoon.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Someone might try to bust my windows in and pull me out of this thing. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to fight somebody. And it went on for like probably 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh,
that feels like forever.
And then they just turned their lights on, and then they just slowly crept by the pickup. And they were towing a boat, like a ski boat looking thing. Not a nice ski boat, like a ghetto sketchy ski boat. And they just slowly drove by. I'm like, why are you towing a ski boat at 2:30 in the morning right now? Like, why are you doing this? And it just kind of crept by and made a loop around the gas station. And I was like, please turn left, please turn left. And they turned right. And that was the direction I needed to go. And I'm like, gosh, dang it. So then I'm laying there. I'm like, they just went the direction that I need to go. And I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, now what do? Do I just sit here and like, maybe they come back with their friends and steal all my stuff? I don't know. What'd they go do? Go get a low boy and they're just going to drag my boat and truck onto a tow truck and just drag it back. I don't know. Yeah. So I slept like an hour.
You were able to sleep after that?
I
closed my eyes. I don't know if it was like real sleep. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't lay here anymore. So I just hopped in the front seat, started the truck, freaking took off down the road. I'm like, if I see a freaking whatever kind of truck they had and the sketchy ski boat just parked on the side of the road, I'm flooring this thing until I run out of gas.
Just hammer down.
Yeah. Like, there's nobody out there to save me. Like, I'm gonna have to shoot somebody, and I don't look like shooting somebody.
Yeah, that's Montana. You know they were packing whoever it was.
100%.
Yeah. They probably had them hanging in the back window.
Yeah, whether they were being friendly or not friendly, they were packing.
Yeah. All right, let's jump off with, this is the first one we've done. Super pumped to have Brandon do our first one. We're going back to kindergarten. For every Tackling Tacos video podcast, we're going to ask our guest if they would graciously hit us with a show and tell. And I told Brandon this can be anything. It can be something funny. It can be something serious. It could be something sentimental, something that means something to you and why. So Brandon, that was a terrible drum roll. What'd you bring?
Well, I'm sorry, Lola, that I don't have Cora with me to just lift up. But I brought this old, I don't even know if I got enough room in here to show this whole thing. So this is a Berkeley Pulse, is what it's called. Let me see if I can flip it over. This is called the Pulse. Some people may know what this is. Younger kids, no clue. Some of the older guys might know what this is. Look at that handle.
Yeah,
like
it's kind
extra
of a pistol grip.
extra long pistol grip. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's got like this crazy reel seat and stuff. You actually tighten it right here. Yeah, so it tightens from back here, and then it pushes up. So this is stationary, and then it pushes up and puts pressure on the front. Super cool idea, minus the fact that your fingers go here. So anytime the rod turns in your hands, it just loosens the reel up. So that's why you probably don't see that on any rods anymore.
It's a cool idea, though.
It's a fantastic idea. So the reason I'm showing this was a rod that was given to me by Jeremy, who was the guy who got me started tournament fishing. Mm-hmm. So he used to give me just like leftover rods, reels. Like he would give me a black garbage bag, you know, like a 30-gallon garbage bag or 35-gallon garbage bag, just full of like random plastics or stuff that he would clean out. You know, be like jerk baits with the bills broken off and whatever. I'd have to go through it and clean them out. But this was my flipping stick. Like I won a ton of money on this thing from, I mean, I don't know how old I was when he gave it to me, probably 10 or 11. And I still have it. And I've never shown this to anybody. So you guys are the only ones that, I mean, I've shown it to like my friends and people who've been at my house, but like I've never shown this on a podcast or even talked about it. But it's like, it's in such rough shape. And I thought this would be something cool to show people. Because one of my biggest pet peeves is people talking about how like, oh, if I had the money, I would fish professionally, or, oh, if I had all the graphs, I would compete and blah, blah, blah. Right. Like it's one of my biggest pet peeves because a lot of times that's just a cop out. And so they don't, you know, mentally, they don't have what it takes to actually be able to do it. You know, I would rather have or support the person that's like, I don't care what I have. I'm going to do whatever I got. I'm going to use whatever I got to get to where I'm at. Right. And I'm going to figure out how to catch them with what I've got. And like this is a prime example of that because I was still fishing this rod up and pretty much almost into the point where I qualified for the elites. And this is the shape that it was in when I was fishing it. So this used to be a hook hanger or like a bait keeper. It is busted off, and there is an insert in this guide. The epoxy's pretty much wore off, like where you could feel it. It's just bare threads. Cool. You can kind of hear it. No insert in that guide.
Perfect.
No insert in that guide. No insert in that guide, which is clearly been smashed a little bit. It's more of an egg oval shape.
It's the new thing.
Insert. There is an insert in this one. Right? And then back to no insert. This another one oval. Actually, you can't quite see it on the video. It's got a little bit of a gap in the bottom. Every once in a while, your line would slide through there, and it would get a little sketchy. This one also broken with a gap in the bottom. This one, no insert, almost broken. And then, you know, the pivotal one, which is clearly a replacement tip,
right,
has an insert, right? Because I mean that's where all your pressure is. So you got insert
right there.
And let's see how many guides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guides. 3 inserts.
Ultimate sensitivity.
Yeah. I don't know how many fish or how much money I won on that rod, but that was that's a prime example of just using what you have and making it work.
That's like really inspiring.
I just can't get rid of it.
Oh, heck
no.
I'll probably never get rid of it. It'll hang on my wall. Like, I mean, so many memories. Like I vividly remember fish catches, like setting the hook. I can vividly remember, like I can feel the bites from some of the fish catches I caught in tournaments with that rod.
Yeah, that's so dope, dude. It'd be really rad if like the next classic or something going into the final day, you're just on them by like 15 pounds or some insurmountable, and then like you pull that bad boy out at the very end just for a few casts.
The pulse.
Yeah, the pulse.
Just bust it out and break every fish off because
You're like, dang it, I want to hang it up.
Yeah. Prodigy.
Like, I swear it worked last time. I don't know what's happening.
1997. Dang it, that's cool, man.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we won't keep you too much longer, brother. We are so pumped that that you were a part of this. So if Bass tomorrow came out and said we are no longer a one-man per boat tournament league, we are a partners only derby. Every tournament from now on will be 2 people, but you have to be in the Bass Elites. Who would you want to fish with? Give us a couple names.
I'd have to take Chad Pipkins.
Okay.
He would be one.
Is it
he used to travel with us. Yeah, just purely for the hair. Just, I mean, I'm lacking hairs. He's got really great hair. You know, maybe it'd wear off a little bit. No, he's an incredible angler, but his positivity is unmatched.
He's such a nice dude. Yeah,
unmatched. I mean, when I won AOY in 2017, he was still traveling with us in our camper. So like he would sleep in the back room, and he would finish like 50th and be in the best mood, and I would finish 18th, and I'd be like pissed off because I lost one or something.
Yeah.
And he would always like put it into perspective, you know. And I think a lot of the way that I view things now and how even keeled I can stay on the water is due to him a lot, and like spending time with him.
That's cool.
Another one would probably be Carl Jacobson.
I figured you'd say that.
Same.
One. Yeah.
He's like, I mean, he's another one of like my best friends on tour. Yeah. We've spent so much time together. I always give him a hard time. You know, I'm like, you didn't have to marry into the family for us to hang out all the time. Like, we could have just come and hung out and be friends, but he had to go marry my cousin, which, for the record, I had nothing to do with. They found each other on their own.
Hey, how good can Carl be, Brandon? How good can Carl be long term?
How good can he be?
Yeah, as an angler, I mean, like he hasn't really been fishing for bass that long to be where he is. It seems like.
He caught his first like legit largemouth, smallmouth bass. 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I think.
That's so crazy.
Maybe 15 years ago at the most.
You
know, so I feel like he's just starting to come into his own, right?
That's
like his learning curve has been incredible. Which I think is why you've seen him like take all of these hard knocks for years and years. And then this year, I feel like in last year too, like toward the end of last year, and then really it's carried over into this year, like where things have started to click. And we always talk about like damage control and, you know, staying away from those 80th and 90th place finishes as much as you can and turn those into 50s and 60s. You know, like you turn an 80th into a 50th, well, that's 30 points. And those 30 points can add up in a hurry. I mean, I've won both AOYs by a cumulative 30 points.
Wow.
Like 14 points the first time and 16 points the second time. So over the course of 9 events, like 30 points goes a long ways. You know, and sometimes that's just a single bite. So I think he would have to be one of my partners because I feel like he's just starting to get better and better. He looks at the water a little bit different than most people, and he's probably more detail oriented than I am.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other name? I mean, would you fish with G-Man? Is there some old?
I would love to fish with Gerald. Yeah. Slept in a tent in the mountains with Gerald one time elk hunting. That was entertaining.
Okay. Yeah. Is he like that even like when the cameras aren't rolling? Is he constantly just spouting off really funny Southern like one-liners?
Yes. Well, here's the really cool thing, the thing that I love about Daddy G. Which
just took a drink and almost spit out.
I mean, people can decide whether he's my real dad or not. I'll just leave that up for discussion.
Right. Okay.
You guys ever see that video when I first started saying he was my daddy?
Yeah, and when you sat on his lap that one time when you were tied at a weigh-in?
Yeah, and then that happened too. Yeah. I called him my daddy at Gunnersville one year, and then it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And he's always like that. Like he always is super quick-witted. Half the stuff that comes out of his mouth, maybe 3/4 of the mouth or that comes out of his mouth, I don't know where it comes from or how he comes up with it. It's like a whole different dictionary that he read in school or something. But the best part about him is that you can be having the most serious, in-depth conversation, and somehow it will just meander its way into this like super funny story or like one-liner, and so he's just a really cool blend of a human.
Yeah, I love that. Lola, hit us with one of your favorite. So this is sort of rapid fire, not really, but not your very favorite, because people will ask you, like, hey, what's your favorite movie or what? And it's really hard to decide one. So give us one of your favorites for the following things.
Okay, like what's one of your favorite bands?
Does it have to be a band or like a single?
Oh. I was just going to say it could be a single
artist.
Music.
Yeah.
Single artist. Probably P.O.D. Jinx.
Okay.
Country artist guy.
Yeah.
I listen to everything. Hip hop, rock, country.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so your phone is on, your Apple Music is on shuffle. What's coming on?
Like just a straight shuffle. People be so confused. It'd be like it could go like P.O.D. Jinx, and then it'd be Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers, and then it's maybe T.I. and some Young Jock, and maybe some Lil Wayne, and then it's Johnny Cash, and now it's Seven Dust, and All That Remains, and maybe there's some like Korn from when I was in junior high, just super random.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I have stuff like that too. That there's times where I'm listening to stuff in my truck, and it'll come on to a song that I was so pumped on in like high school. And if I'm at a stoplight, I turn it down because I'm so embarrassed. I'm still listening to it.
But internally, you're still super pumped.
Internally, I'm like, dude, P.O.D. is still so dope.
Whatever.
Yeah. You're like,
yeah.
No, right.
Right.
And then when I pull away, we are youth of the nation. Whatever.
Gosh, that was such a good song. That might have to be my classic song one year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Give Tackling Tacos a shout out for that. We'll do.
What about like movies? Do you have like top 3?
Yeah. Kyle's is Walter Mitty. We know that.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
Gosh. No.
Oh my gosh, it's his favorite. It's what inspired him to be who he is.
Yeah, that's what he said.
As a photographer.
Yeah, I've not seen that one.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Now I'm gonna have to watch it so that I actually understand who Kyle is. Maybe that'll explain a lot of things.
It may.
It may.
Yeah.
It turns out it's actually just an autobiography of Kyle.
Right.
He just tricked you into watching it.
Gosh, I'm always a sucker for Gladiator.
Oh,
I
heck
love
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, that's a killer.
I love 8 Seconds. Rodeo
The
movie.
rodeo one?
Oh
Yeah.
That's
Lane
nice.
Frost.
Lane Frost. That's
Yeah.
a movie.
Yeah, that is a
Heck
good one
yeah.
for sure.
And then there's an old wrestling movie called Vision Quest that used to always get me so pumped up.
Okay.
We're gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Have you ever heard of, speaking of old movies, have you heard of Rad, the BMX movie? I used to watch that before I go BMX race.
No.
It's terrible.
We introduced
It's
it
so
to our boys.
Yeah.
Did the girls watch it too? I think they
did,
might have,
yeah.
but the boys are like so into it, and the soundtrack, and
it's
it's
so
like,
corny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah.
I'm a sucker for any movie that, like, I don't know, makes you feel something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not like, I mean, comedy movies are cool, but those aren't ones where I'm like, that was an amazing movie.
No
Okay,
doubt.
watch Secret Life of Walter Mitty. You will feel something.
Yeah. It is really good. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, what about like favorite lakes? Do you have favorite lakes or bodies of water to fish on, or just
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love fishing here at home. Like Coeur d'Alene Lake is a special place. You know, and I have so many memories there growing up fishing tournaments and stuff. And I don't get to fish it as much now as I used to, but I mean, it's just, I don't know that there's a better lake in the country as far as like a largemouth, smallmouth mix. Like where you can actually catch a 7-pound smallmouth and you can catch a 9-pound largemouth.
Okay, so we're on our way.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Sheesh.
Yeah, see you soon. You're just gonna have to drive probably 30 hours from anywhere else that has bass fishing.
Right. Yeah. Are you worried now, though, that now that you just said that both the people watching this podcast are going to head your way?
They can come on with it.
We're going to light your lake
the
on
lake's
fire.
big enough. They can
Okay.
handle.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's going to cost you $1,000 to drive here, dragging your boat.
At least.
So.
Yeah.
Come on, ask me how I know.
Yeah. Right. Prove it. All right. What's next for you, Brandon? Are you trying to Rick Clun it? Are you trying to be out there competing when you're, deep into your 60s? Where do you see this thing going?
I've always, I think since I started, I set the goal at 50.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean that like at 50, I'll just walk away from everything. But like my goal is to set myself up hopefully at 50, which is still a long time from now, that like I can then, compete however I want to compete at that time. Okay. So around that time, like Cora is going to be getting close to graduating high school. Like I don't know what my life is going to look like or what I'm going to feel or what my, priorities are going to be 15, 16 years from now. And I always felt like that age was kind of a good age where if I was done, if I'd gotten what I felt like I needed to get out of bass fishing and gave back what I felt like I needed to give back, that I could walk away or do, some sort of hybrid version of it where you still fish the elites, but maybe that's all you do. You just fly in, you fish the tournament, you come back home. And that's my biggest thing is I noticed early on too many guys that were competing still because they had to, because they didn't put enough money away or they weren't smart with their money, that they just didn't, it took the love of the game away from them. And I don't ever want to be in that position. Like Clun is a very unique and special human being. And the fact that he still has so much passion and love for competing in the sport, that he's doing it for the right reasons. And if I'm 75, 76 and I still have that passion, still feel like my body can hang and compete, then maybe that's what I'm doing.
I love that.
Or maybe you'll be taking your cute little grandkids fishing for fun.
Or maybe I'm doing that. Like I just know that I want to be set up so that like as my life changes, because that's a guarantee, life is going to change. I want to be able to continually flow with it, like in a positive direction.
I love that. Yeah, that was very insightful. Yeah, for
Definitely.
sure. All right, 2 more questions. Nate, give us one more fan question, and then I want to ask you like the most basic question ever to end it, and then we'll let you get out of here.
So one more fan question. I kind of think it's a pretty good one. We talked with Kyle a little bit about like some outside of fishing videos, hunting, stuff like that. You see yourself putting out any more hunting content, and maybe something specifically like waterfowl? We haven't really seen you do that. Do you get into that much at all or anything?
We've had this conversation a lot. When I say we, I mean Kyle and I. There's a lot of, I guess, aspects to it or factors that come into it. Like the amount of time and effort that we want to put into it, right? Because he loves to just go rogue sometimes in the off season and go to Vietnam for a month or wherever. And so he'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait for hunting season. We're going to film." And like, this is pretty much how last year went too. He's like, "I'm going to film all the archery hunts and stuff." And be like, "Hey, I'm going this weekend." And he'd be like, "I'm going dirt biking," or "I'm going sailing," or I'm going to Mexico to film for a week. And I'm like, "Okay, let me know when you get back." And then he just happened to get back, and like the next day showed up on an elk hunt where I actually killed one.
Yeah, that was like awesome video too.
You're so freaking lucky, Kyle. And so like that kind of opened our eyes to, I guess, the reception of it. And trying to do it in a different way. I struggle with it personally some, because I'm like, do I really want to open up this part of my life like to the public? Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I'm like, I hunt like not to shoot something and put pictures on Instagram. Like usually if you look, like my least activity on social media is when I'm hunting, because I love to disappear and get out in the mountains and feel like I'm living how I think humans should be living. Yes. And like that disconnect brings me back to, I guess, like earth and feeling grounded. Yeah. So I get torn of like, do I then want to bring a camera into that, right? And feel like I have to, like, I wouldn't change anything, but there's just a different level of aspect to that where it's like, okay, now there's a camera here. Like we need to.
It feels totally different.
And it's like, this is also going to cost us money. So then do we sell sponsorships for it? But then if you sell sponsorships, then there's deliverables and there's expectations. I'm like, do I want to bring all of that? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I want to bring all of that into that aspect of my life, because I use the hunting a lot of times as kind of my release and my getaway.
Release. Yeah. We've talked about that too.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky balance. I don't think I would do it or even think about doing it with anyone else other than Kyle. but just the fact that we flow so easily together, and like he's, as much as I like to give him a hard time, he's actually pretty damn tough. And so that's a good part, right? Because he can keep up in the mountains and he's down for anything and doesn't have to have a bunch of fancy stuff. So, I mean, I would love to do more of it. Like, I like putting the videos out there. I know people like seeing them.
Yeah.
I just I don't get super fired up like I do about the fishing side, just because I don't know if I want to
totally respect that.
bring all the rest of it in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
One last question, and then I mean, from all three of us and whoever is lucky enough to watch this, hear this, dude, thank you. Seriously, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
So the last question I have for you is, what is the biggest difference between a weekend angler, tournament fisherman, and a professional bass fisherman? What do professional bass fishermen do differently, that takes them up to that next level?
It's all between their ears is really the biggest difference maker. I think that it's a constant, like evaluation of what's happening on the water. Like you can talk technique and, understanding of fish movements and kind of all of those basic things that you could say, like, duh, like, of course, that's why they're better. But I think even when you look at guys at the top level, on average, everyone's pretty even when it comes to casting, driving a boat, reading their electronics, right? Like, top 100 guys in the world can do most things to some extent. One guy might be a little better at flipping, one guy might be a little better at deep cranking, but on average, skill level, pretty even across the board. So the only thing that can separate guys from consistently doing well versus guys not is your mental capacity, and being able to, I think, like, work through the lows and like, not coast through the highs, but like not let your highs be too high, right? Like, not get stuck up there, because it is the most losing sport in the entire world.
For sure.
You look at, like, no one's going to argue if you say Kevin Van Dam is the greatest angler of all time. 7 AOYs, over 7 million, I think, in earnings. He's won 28 elites. Like, I mean, just 4 classic, like, incredible stats. He still has lost more than he's ever won.
For sure.
Not even in the same ballpark, and so when you think about it that way, it's like, you're going to have a ton of failure in this sport. And so how you navigate that on a cast to cast basis, an hour to hour, day to day, year to year basis, I mean, all of that matters. Right? You make a cast, you set the hook, you lose a 4-pounder. It's like, how quickly can you navigate that and turn that into a positive? Or you have a bad day, you have a bad tournament, a bad week, a bad month, bad year. Like, being able to navigate through that and turn that around is what I think separates not only the pros from the average weekend warriors, but also the guys that are consistently good at the pro level from the rest of the guys.
God dang, that was preaching, dude. That was perfect. Wow. Thank you. Okay, one more, just because I thought of it. Would you rather win 2 more Angler of the Years or a classic?
I gotta say classic at this point.
Yeah, because you have 2 Angler of the Years.
Yeah, I still think. I mean, the classic's like the only thing I haven't won, so it's a special thing. But the other side of it and I don't know, maybe I think too much about this kind of stuff, but the Classic is 1 week and it's 3 days. You know, it's still the most prestigious tournament in the sport of bass fishing, and it's incredible. But what I've learned is, like, when you win AOY, there's 9 weeks, you know, that have a story that make up that Angler of the Year. And so there's opportunity for all of these, like, crazy stories and moments and fish catches and things to happen, which are kind of, I guess, like the soul and the base of why I love what I do.
Sure.
Is, you know, it's like those moments. I want to talk about those moments, and like I want to win the Classic because I want that feeling of winning. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to have like the trophy sitting here or something. Most likely it'd be sitting on the floor collecting dust like the rest of them, but it would be
your honesty.
Yeah, that's sweet.
The hardware's cool, the checks are cool, but honestly, like, to get that feeling, because I know what it feels like when I watch it and I get choked up and I get emotional every time I watch a guy win it. To be on the other side of that, and like, I don't know, like, I think so in depth of it. Like, I want to hear the crowd. Like, I want to feel the music, like feel the confetti, like share that moment with my family. Like, that's just, there's not another moment like that other than the Classic.
I have literally zero doubt that you will be there, and that's not me trying to blow you up. Like, I don't see how it wouldn't happen, man. I really don't. I think you'll be there.
It's hard. 3 days of bassing. It's hard.
What's your most memorable Classic to date? Like, what one resonates the most with you, like, personally?
The Grand.
Is that the 2013 Grand?
It's a toss-up between 2013 Grand and my very first one, 2011 Louisiana Delta.
Okay.
That one was, like, my first one was so cool because nobody knew who I was. Like, that was my first professional event, was the Bassmaster Classic. You know, qualified as a Bass Nation guy. The elite schedule started after the Classic that year. So, like, literally nobody really knew who I was. I'm pretty sure Tommy Sanders said my last name 3 different ways in the same day.
Palaniuk.
Yeah. And I mean, it was really cool because, like, we had a fog delay. Tons of my family was there. And
that's cool.
You know, we were there for 3 or 4 hours every day, just chilling in a fog delay. And I'm like,
wow.
There's Van Dam and there's Skeet and Gerald and Mike, and, you know, it's like all these guys that I grew up idolizing. And like, I was reading articles that these guys wrote, trying to emulate what they were doing, and now I have to beat them. So I'm gonna take the same things that they taught me, and I'm gonna beat them with their own game. That was essentially what I had to do. So like, that one was really cool in its own way, and then the 13 one, like, just having a legitimate shot to win.
Yep.
That was still when they had helicopters and stuff. And I remember the helicopters flying around, and you know, there's moments that happen, like, when you're on the water and you're in contention to win, that you get the feeling. Like, you start out in the morning, it's maybe 2 boats following you around. Next thing you know, like, you've caught a few fish, and you just start hearing all this chatter, and you turn around and there's like 60 or 70 boats, and there's a helicopter flying, and like Robbie Floyd's there with a camera. And you're like, I think something's happening. I might be making a move here. You know, like,
putting the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, like, you just, like, everyone didn't just show up for no reason. And I feed off of that energy, and so then it's just like, I get more focused, I get more pumped up. Like, just everything is amplified when you get in those moments. And that one was super memorable. Obviously it ended with some heartbreak finishing second, but I just got beat. Like, I did everything that I could have done that week. I just got outfished.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think wrestling helped your mindset stuff at all?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That's I didn't know it when I was wrestling, right? It wasn't like, oh, this is going to help me in bass fishing.
How old were you when you started wrestling?
8. Same.
Oh,
this is
same
what
age.
I wonder about, because our son Vinny, he's talked about wrestling, and he's 10, and he fished his first tournament with him last year.
Yeah, we fished a couple together.
Yeah. And so he was 9, and so I'm like, oh, this could be good.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he wants to wrestle, I would.
He would
that.
love.
Like, however,
would love to do that.
I don't think there's a better sport to just build like integrity and work ethic, and
I think that'd be perfect.
there's just not another sport that's like so demanding. And it's really it's how far you want to take it, right? And I think the thing that I love about it is, and how it relates to bass fishing, is it's a team sport, right? Like, you have points that act as a team. Fishing, you've got sponsors, your family, right? That's kind of the team and everything. But what you do on the mat or what you do on the water is all up to you. Like, all the decisions you make, everything you do, the work you put into it is going to equal the output that you get. And so it's a very individual sport. And so, then that's where like the mental side comes into it, because you have all of these thought processes of like, am I good enough? Or did I put in the work? Or, like, how am I going to beat this guy? Or how am I going to catch this fish? Or what decision am I going to make? Where am I going to run? And I think that's like, there's that parallel there for sure. And wrestling is so physically demanding that there's times, like, I mean, he's just starting out, so this doesn't happen right away, but like, there's every time you do something really hard, like physically, and you hit a wall, because your mind will quit before your body. Your mind, it's designed that way. It's like a self-protect mechanism.
Sure,
and it's going to say, hey, don't do this. Like, you're overexerting yourself. Don't do this. And your brain's kicking in like, maybe you should stop. Maybe you should stop. And every time you push past that wall, you mentally grow leaps and bounds.
It's like retraining your brain. Like, wait, nope, I got this.
Yep. And I mean, to the point where like I would be running, my brain would be like, you should probably stop. And I'd just keep running. And then next thing you know, I'd like wake up and I'd passed out running.
Oh my God.
And he'd be like, okay, we're still alive. We're good. Get back up and run. And, but like those, I don't know. It's such a phenomenal sport for like young boys to turn into men, pretty much.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, we should
Thank you.
That for him. Yeah. So I think we'll let you go, dude. I mean, I already said one question, and that was about a dozen back. So
yeah, we could go.
Sorry for that.
Talk all night.
Yeah, for sure we could.
No problem.
I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I mean, it's really similar to your homie Kyle, where I'm more so a fan now, knowing how authentic you are. So thank you for being not only just a great angler, but seemingly a good human being, an articulate fella who speaks his passions pretty clearly. Thank you, bottom of my heart. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's cool.
Yeah,
love
what
you guys are doing. So hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, that'll be so fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, brother. All right.
Thank you.
Hey, we appreciate it. Peace out.
All right. So that was Brandon Palaniuk. I mean, cripes, dude.
Yeah.
I can't believe we just had Brandon freaking
that's
prodigy.
so wild, dude.
I was thinking while he was talking about the excitement and the energy and the whatever of being on the classic stage. I was wondering if Mercer has come up with something for him yet. You know how like when Christie won and he said Christie conquers the classic 30 times. And then this year when Gussie won and he was like, oh, Canada, you've got a Bassmaster Classic champ. What would he say for Palaniuk? Because I could like Mercer's funny enough and articulate enough. Would he make some like potato joke, Idaho, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, would he say something corn? I don't know. Maybe I'm probably overthinking it. It's a matter of time. I mean, like legitimately, if there was a bet in Vegas to like who's an angler that you would bet your house on that at some point wins the classic, BP would be my first pick.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mentioned that 2013 classic, like that was like the first year that I really got like entrenched in bass fishing. Like I went and fished my first open in Louisiana, drove 14 hours from Iowa to go fish an open on the Red River where I've never been before. I've fished like one local tournament ever, and I like was just
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I was just ate up with it, and like so doing that, and then leading up to watching him come so close to winning the classic. I've been a fan ever since. Like it's wild.
Yeah, and he's kind of been ahead of the trend on so many things in terms of like the big bait stuff and the documenting stuff like with excellence on YouTube. And like if Brandon in this interview would have said like I've started this new thing where I reel with my spinning reels upside down and I reel them towards myself, I'd be like, man, I got to try that tomorrow. I need to go throw me a drop shot and crank that sucker backwards. Like I mean, he really is. He's that dude. He's been ahead of stuff, and so as a man to have the foresight, like legitimately, I want to take some of his advice about Vinny and let him go wrestle. And I do think I was just thinking when I asked that question, like, has the wrestling mindset helped you? Because it is very between the ears. And like he said, it's a team sport, but it's not,
right.
There's not a lot of sports that are like that.
The discipline, like you said, and what you put in is what you get out. It's just like bass fishing, the time on the water, nothing replaces that. The more time you spend on the water, the better angler you become, and leads into more fish you catch and AOYs and eventually classics for him, right?
Definitely.
That's why I keep finishing middle of the pack, because I don't pre-fish these lakes. Your boy's a 5 line burner master. You know what I'm saying? I got 5 line burners, baby. What did is it Bill Owen? Is it Bill Lowen who says I'll 12 pound you to death or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'll 4.5 sack you to death. I got a 4.5 pound sack. Y'all don't want to see me at the weigh-in line. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. All right. So everybody who's listening, thank you so much. Again, make sure I didn't even ask Brandon like how do people find you on social, because they already found him.
If they're listening to this, it's because they know.
Yeah, they know who he is. So
100%.
Yeah, so make sure you are, though, following him on social. Follow him on YouTube. The BMP stuff is so dope. It is the perfect blend of incredibly well-made videos, but they're also informative. They're fun. They're easy to watch. Like, you could watch some of those that are like, in that 20-minute range, and it feels like they just zip by because they're filmed well. They have all the elements of like intensity, but fun. And yeah, man, they're just dope. And Kyle kills it. So follow him as well. Point, shout out. You want to hit us with the tagline?
Positivity is worth the effort.
Yep. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.